Good evening, dear listener, and may your night be wrapped in peace. Settle into this quiet moment, where the world slows and the hum of the day fades to a whisper. Imagine yourself resting under a vast, starlit sky, the air cool and soft, carrying the gentle rustle of reeds by a lazy river. Picture the glow of distant hearths, their light flickering like memories across a sleeping valley, or the sigh of a breeze brushing through fields of young wheat, heavy with dew. These are the textures of a time long past. A world both distant and familiar, where every step was a dance with the earth. Tonight, we slip into the Bronze Age, a forgotten era around 3000 BC, when families like the one we'll follow carved lives from soil and stone. This isn't a tale of kings or battles, but of ordinary hands, grinding barley, shaping clay, weaving linen under moonlight. You'll walk with a family in a small village, their days woven with labor and love, their nights alive with whispers of a changing world. Let their story unfold, slow and steady, like a river finding its way, guiding you toward a calm as deep as the valley they call home. Now breathe, and let the past carry you gently forward. You awaken to the soft rustle of dawn, the air cool and heavy with the scent of dew-soaked earth. Around you, a small village hums with the quiet stirrings of life. Mud brick huts squat low under thatched roofs, their walls smoothed by hands that know this land intimately. The Bronze Age, a time so distant it feels like a dream, wraps you in its gentle rhythm. You're here, not as an outsider, but as a silent guest, invited to walk alongside a family whose names history never recorded. Their world is simple, yet every moment pulses with purpose. Tonight, as you drift towards sleep, let their story cradle you, like the soft crackle of a fire under a starlit sky. The village is small, no more than a dozen families, nestled in a valley where a lazy river bends through green hills. You blink, and the first rays of sunlight spill over the horizon, painting the huts in shades of gold. A rooster crows, its voice sharp but not jarring, as if it knows the village prefers a gentle waking. You step outside, your bare feet brushing against the cool, packed earth. The family you'll follow, a mother, father, 2 sons, and a daughter, stirs within their hut. The mother, her hair braided tightly, kneels by a stone quern, grinding barley into coarse flour. Her movements are steady, almost meditative, the faint scrape of stone against stone blending with the morning's quiet. You linger by the doorway, watching her work. The quern is worn smooth, a testament to countless mornings like this one. She hums softly, a tune without words, and you wonder if it's a song her mother taught her, or one born from the monotony of labor. The flour dusts her hands, catching the light like tiny flecks of snow. In your modern life, you might grind coffee beans with a buttons press, but here, every meal demands this patient dance of muscle and stone. It's not romantic, not in the way poets might claim, but there's a quiet dignity in it, a reminder that survival is built on small, deliberate acts. The father emerges, his beard flecked with gray, carrying a bronze axe that glints faintly in the dawn. He's headed to the nearby woods to gather fuel for the fire, a task as old as humanity itself. You follow him, noticing the way his shoulders hunch slightly, as if carrying the weight of the family's needs. The axe, a recent innovation, is a point of pride in the village. Before bronze, they used flint, but the new metal holds its edge longer, bites deeper into wood. Historians mark this shift as a cornerstone of the Bronze Age, roughly 3000 BC in this region, when copper and tin alloys revolutionized tools and trade. The father doesn't think in terms of eras or revolutions, though. To him, the axe is simply better, a gift from the smith's fire that makes his work a little easier. You pause, catching a whiff of smoke from the family's hearth. The older son, barely a teenager, tends the fire, poking at it with a stick while his younger brother watches, wide-eyed. The flames are modest, just enough to warm the hut and cook the day's meal. You smile, thinking of how your modern thermostat would seem like magic to these boys, though they'd probably find its hum far less comforting than the fire's soft crackle. The younger boy tosses a twig into the flames, grinning as it pops. His brother scolds him gently, and you catch the flicker of a universal sibling dynamic. Some things never change. Even across millennia. The daughter, perhaps 8 years old, sweeps the hut's floor with a bundle of reeds, her small hands moving with surprising skill. You notice a clay figurine tucked into a niche in the wall, its features smoothed by time or touch. Is it a toy? A deity? Scholars still debate whether such figurines were religious or merely decorative, their purpose as murky as the river outside. You imagine the daughter whispering secrets to it at night, the way children today might confide in a stuffed animal. The thought is oddly comforting, a bridge between her world and yours. As the morning unfolds, you feel the village's rhythm settle into your bones. The family moves with purpose, each task a thread in the tapestry of their survival. You glance at the corn again, the mother still grinding, her hum unbroken. In your world, you might call this monotonous, but here, it's a kind of prayer, a steady offering to the day ahead. The sun climbs higher, warming the air, and you hear the distant lowing of cattle from a neighbor's pen. It's a sound so pastoral it could lull you to sleep, if not for the quiet curiosity tugging at you. What does the rest of their day hold? You step back, letting the scene soften, like a painting left in the rain. The Bronze Age wasn't all progress and pastoral charm, of course. Life was fragile, tethered to the whims of weather and disease. Yet this family, like countless others, found ways to endure, to carve meaning from the earth. You wonder if they ever paused to marvel at their own resilience, or if they simply pressed on, as people always have. Historians argue over whether these early societies valued individual ambition or collective survival more fiercely. Perhaps it was both, woven together like the reeds in the daughter's broom. Before you drift too far, a small detail catches your eye. The mother pauses to rub her hands, wincing slightly. Her palms are calloused, but she dabs them with a paste that smells faintly of herbs. A remedy for soreness, perhaps, or just a habit passed down from her kin. You chuckle softly, thinking of the overpriced hand cream in your bathroom cabinet. Same problem, different solutions. The family gathers now, preparing to share a simple breakfast. You're not hungry, but the thought of their meal, warm and hard-earned, feels like an invitation to linger. As you settle into this moment, the village seems to breathe with you. The Bronze Age, so often reduced to artifacts in museums, is alive here, in the grind of stone, the glint of bronze, the hum of a mother's song. You close your eyes, letting the sounds fade, knowing you'll return to this family soon. Their story, forgotten by time, is yours to carry for a little while longer. Sleep well, and let the past whisper you into dreams. You linger in the warmth of the family's hut, the morning sun now filtering through gaps in the thatched roof, casting dappled light across the packed earth floor. The air smells of barley and smoke, a comforting blend that wraps around you like a warm blanket. The family gathers around the hearth, their movements unhurried, as if time itself moves slower in this Bronze Age valley. You're still here, a silent companion, invited to witness the quiet pulse of their lives. As the world outside hums with birdsong, you settle closer to the fire, letting its soft crackle soothe you toward a dreamlike calm. The mother sets out a meal, coarse barley porridge, steamed in a clay pot, and a handful of dried fish, their scales glinting faintly in the firelight. You watch the family sit cross-legged on woven reed mats, sharing the food from a single wide bowl. The father scoops a portion for the younger son first, a small gesture of care that feels timeless. You think of your own hurried breakfasts, maybe a granola bar grabbed on the way out the door, and smile at the contrast. Here, eating is a ritual, a moment to pause and breathe together, even if the meal is simple. The porridge steams faintly, its warmth a quiet defiance against the morning's chill. The daughter chews slowly, her eyes darting to the clay figurine in the wall niche, as if expecting it to join the meal. You wonder if she imagines it watching over them, a guardian of their small world. The older son, his hands smudged with ash from tending the fire, teases her gently, pointing at her porridge-crusted chin. She swats his hand, and their laughter is soft, like the rustle of leaves outside. You catch yourself grinning. Siblings, it seems, have always been siblings. Whether in 3000 BC or your own time. The mother hushes them, but her eyes crinkle with amusement. It's a scene so ordinary, yet it grounds you, tethering you to their humanity. While they eat, the mother begins weaving a basket from dried reeds, her fingers moving with the ease of long practice. The reeds are stiff, harvested from the river bank, and she soaks them briefly in a shallow clay basin to make them pliable. You lean closer, noticing the intricate pattern emerging, tight, even rows that speak of skill honed over years. Basketry, you recall, was a cornerstone of Bronze Age life, used for everything from storing grain to carrying water. Archaeologists have found such baskets, preserved in dry caves. Their weaves still tight after millennia. The mother's work isn't just practical, it's art, a quiet legacy she'll pass to her daughter. You shift your gaze to the hearth, the heart of this home. It's more than a source of heat, it's where stories are told, where the family gathers to mend tools or share dreams. The fire's glow paints their faces in soft oranges. And you imagine how it must feel to rely on this fragile flame for survival. No electric heaters, no gas stoves, just this circle of warmth, fed by wood the father hauled from the hills. You chuckle softly, thinking of how your smart thermostat would baffle them, though they'd probably find its sterile hum far less trustworthy than their fire's voice. The father finishes his meal and stands, brushing crumbs from his tunic. He mentions the river, saying the nets need checking before the day grows too warm. Fish, a staple in their diet, are plentiful this season, but catching them demands patience and skill. You follow him outside, the air now tinged with the sharp scent of wet clay from the riverbank. The village is waking fully. Neighbors calling to one another, their voices mingling with the lowing of cattle. You notice a woman nearby smearing a paste of mud and straw onto her hut's wall, patching a crack. It's oddly satisfying, like watching someone knead dough, simple, but purposeful. Back inside, the mother pauses her weaving to adjust the fire, adding a log that sends up a shower of sparks. The younger son, still by her side, mimics her motions, pretending to weave with a scrap of reed. You smile, thinking of how children today might mimic a parent's typing on a laptop. Some habits, it seems, are eternal. But there's a quirk here. The mother ties each basket's final knot with a small, deliberate twist, a signature of sorts. Scholars debate whether such quirks were personal marks or ritual gestures, meant to honor the gods or simply to say, "I was here." You like to think it's both, a blend of pride and prayer. The older son, now done eating, begins sharpening a flint knife, though the village is slowly adopting bronze. You watch his careful strokes, the blade catching the light. The shift to bronze tools, around 2800 BC in this region, marked a leap in efficiency, letting farmers clear land faster and hunters fell prey with less effort. But flint, cheaper and more familiar, lingers in homes like this one, a stubborn holdover from the past. You wonder if the boy resents the new metal, or if he dreams of wielding a bronze blade of his own. His focus is almost hypnotic, a rhythm that could lull you to sleep if you let it. As the family clears the meal, you notice the daughter sneak a sliver of dried fish to a scrawny dog curled by the hearth. The dog's ears perk, and you laugh quietly. Pets, apparently, have always known how to work a child's heart. The mother catches her, raising an eyebrow, but says nothing. It's a small rebellion. One you suspect happens often. The scene feels so alive, so human, that you almost forget the fragility of their world. Disease, drought, or a bad harvest could unravel everything, yet they carry on. Weaving, sharpening, laughing. You step back, the hut's warmth lingering on your skin. The Bronze Age, for all its hardships, was a time of connection, to the land, to each other, to the small rituals that held life together. Historians still argue whether these early villagers saw their hearths as sacred or merely practical, but watching this family, you'd wager it was both. The fire crackles, the reeds rustle, and the day stretches ahead, full of tasks as steady as the river's flow. You close your eyes, letting their world fade. knowing you'll return to walk with them again. For now, rest, and let their story settle into your dreams. You step into the cool shade of the forest. The villages hum fading behind you as the father and older son lead the way, their bronze-tipped spears slung across their shoulders. The air is sharp with the scent of pine and damp earth, and the ground beneath your feet is soft, carpeted with fallen needles. It's midday now, the sun filtering through the canopy in golden patches, and you're here, a silent shadow, trailing this Bronze Age family as they hunt. Their world feels vast out here, untamed, and you let its quiet rhythm pull you deeper, like a lullaby whispered by the trees. Settle in, and let the forest's hush carry you toward sleep. The father moves with purpose, his eyes scanning the undergrowth for signs of deer, broken twigs, faint hoofprints in the mud. The older son, barely 16, mirrors him, though his steps are less certain, his grip on the spear a touch too tight. You notice the bronze spearheads, their edges gleaming faintly. A recent gift from the village smith. Hunting, once the backbone of their survival, is fading as fields of wheat and barley take root. Around 3000 BC, this shift from foraging to farming reshaped societies across the Fertile Crescent, binding families like this one to the land. Yet the forest still calls, its game a vital supplement to their diet. You pause, catching the faint rustle of leaves, a squirrel, not a deer, darting up a tree. The son flinches, then laughs at himself, and the father's stern face softens for a moment. You smile, thinking of your own moments of overeager anticipation, maybe waiting for a text that never comes. The forest is patient, though, and the father gestures for silence, pointing to a faint trail winding deeper into the woods. You follow, your steps soundless, the air cool against your skin. The hunt is a dance of waiting, watching, and you feel its rhythm settle into your bones, steady as a heartbeat. The father kneels, examining a patch of trampled grass. His fingers trace the edge of a hoofprint, and he murmurs something to the son, too soft for you to catch. You imagine its advice, maybe about patience or the wind's direction. The son nods, his face serious. Though you spot a flicker of pride, he's learning, proving himself in his father's eyes. You think of the mother back at the hut, her hands dusted with barley flour, and wonder if she worries about them out here. The forest is generous but unforgiving. One wrong step could mean an empty-handed return, or worse. A breeze stirs, carrying the faint musk of animal hide, and the father tenses, raising a hand. You freeze, your breath catching, though you're only a guest in this moment. Ahead, through a screen of branches, a deer grazes, its head low, unaware. The son's eyes widen, and you can almost feel his pulse quicken. The father motions for him to ready his spear, a slow, deliberate gesture. You notice the son's hands tremble slightly, and you chuckle softly. First hunts, like first anything, are never as smooth as you hope. In your world, you might fumble a presentation or a recipe. But here, the stakes are raw, immediate. The father takes the lead, creeping forward, his spear balanced for a throw. The bronze tip, a marvel of the age, is sharper than flint, its weight better suited for piercing hide. You recall the corn from the hut, the mother's steady grinding. Every tool here, from spear to stone, is a step toward mastering the world. The deer lifts its head, ears twitching, and for a moment, time holds its breath. Then the father throws, the spear arcing cleanly, and the deer bolts, crashing through the undergrowth. A miss. The son's shoulders slump, but the father claps his back, undeterred. They'll track it, he says, his voice calm, like the river's flow. You follow them deeper, the forest growing denser, its shadows cooler. The hunt is as much about persistence as precision, and you admire their resolve. A curious detail catches your eye. The father pauses to tie a strip of dyed cloth to a branch, a marker for their path. It's a small, practical habit, but you wonder if it's more, perhaps a charm for luck, or a way to claim this corner of the wild. Scholars debate whether such markers were purely functional or held spiritual weight, their meaning lost to time. You like to think it's a bit of both. a quiet assertion of presence in an untamed world. The son, still clutching his spear, points to a fresh hoofprint, his voice low but eager. The father nods, and they press on. Their steps lighter now, fueled by the chase. You notice the forest sounds, birdsong, the creak of branches, the distant trickle of a stream, and let them wash over you, soothing as a whispered story. The hunt may fail today, but the family won't go hungry. Their fields and nets provide enough. Still, the forest offers something else: pride, tradition. A connection to ancestors who lived by its rules alone. As you trail them, you spot a cluster of mushrooms at the base of a tree, their caps dappled with dew. The son pauses, tempted. But the father shakes his head. Some are poison, he says. You laugh quietly, thinking of your own grocery store's neatly labeled produce. Foraging, like hunting, is a fading art for them. But it lingers in moments like this, a nod to the past. The forest feels alive, its every leaf and root part of their story, and you wonder how it must feel to know a place so intimately. Learning each other as much as the land. You step back, the forest's hush enveloping you. The village lies ahead, its hearths glowing faintly in the dusk. The hunt, though fruitless, was a thread in the family's day, woven with effort and hope. You close your eyes, the scent of pine lingering, and let their world fade, knowing you'll return to walk with them again. For now, rest. And let the forest whispers carry you into dreams. You stand at the edge of the village's fields, the late morning sun warming your shoulders as the family toils in the earth. Their hands dark with soil. The air carries the faint sweetness of turned dirt, mingled with the distant tang of the river. The forest, where you trailed the father and son on their hunt, feels far away now, its wildness replaced by this patchwork of cultivated land. You're here, a silent guest, watching the Bronze Age unfold through the family's labor. Their world is one of sweat and hope, and you let its steady rhythm wrap around you, soft as a lullaby, guiding you toward a quiet calm. The mother kneels in the field, her fingers pressing emmer wheat seeds into shallow furrows scratched by a wooden plow. The father guides the plow, pulled by a pair of oxen whose breath steams in the morning air. You notice the daughter trailing behind, scattering seeds with a careful flick of her wrist, her small face set with focus. Farming, the backbone of their survival, is new to this region. Taking root around 3000 BC as villages like this one traded the unpredictability of hunting for the promise of harvests. It's backbreaking work, but it binds them to the land. Each seed a wager on the future. You step closer, the soil cool beneath your feet, and watch the mother's hands move with practiced ease. The furrows are uneven, the plow rudimentary. But there's a kind of poetry in their labor, a rhythm of push, plant, step that feels eternal. You think of your own world, where food arrives in plastic trays or delivery bags, and chuckle softly. Here, every bite is earned, every harvest a small miracle. The mother pauses to wipe sweat from her brow, leaving a smudge of dirt. And you imagine her laughing as she saw your overpriced organic kale, same earth, different fuss. The father calls to the oxen, his voice low but firm, urging them forward. The plow's wooden blade catches on a stone, and he stops to pry it free, his bronze axe glinting as he chips at the earth. You recall the bronze spear from the hunt, its edge so sharp compared to flint. Bronze tools, spreading through the fertile crescent, made farming less grueling, letting families like this one clear land and plant more. But the plow is still crude, and you wince at the effort it demands. The father's shoulders are broad, but they sag slightly, a reminder that progress comes slow, even in an age of metal. The daughter, her hands now dusted with soil, hums the same tuneless song you heard by the hearth. She's young, but already she knows the field's demands, when to plant, when to water, when to pray for rain. You smile, thinking of how kids today might grumble over homework, while she works without complaint, her small frame bent to the task. There's a quirky detail here. She ties a blade of grass around her finger, a makeshift ring, perhaps a charm for a good crop. Scholars debate whether such gestures were superstitious or just playful. their meaning as fleeting as the grass itself. You like to think it's her way of claiming this moment, a child's mark on the earth. The older son joins them now, carrying a clay jug of water from the river. He passes it to his mother first, then his sister, a small act of care that feels like a thread tying them together. You watch them drink, the water catching the light as it spills from their lips, and feel a pang of gratitude for your own tap, endlessly flowing. The son kneels to inspect the furrows, pointing out a spot where the seeds lie too shallow. The father nods, and they adjust the road together, their movements synchronized. It's a scene so ordinary, yet it carries the weight of their survival, each seed a step toward winter's stores. A breeze stirs, rippling the wheat already sprouting in an adjacent field, its green tips swaying like a quiet sea. You let the sight wash over you, soothing as the sound of distant waves. The family works on, their voices soft, occasionally broken by the lowing of the oxen or the cry of a hawk overhead. You notice the younger son, too small for heavy labor, sitting nearby, shaping mud into tiny figures, perhaps animals, perhaps gods. His hands are clumsy, but his focus is absolute, and you laugh quietly, thinking of your own childhood doodles, so serious in the moment. The field stretches wide, bordered by low stone walls the village built to keep out wandering goats. You spot a neighbor tending his own plot, his plow guided by a single ox, and wonder if he envies this family's pair, sending up a plume of steam that smells faintly of earth and fire. You watch, mesmerized, as it settles, cooling into the shape of an axe head. This craft, born around 3000 BC in the Fertile Crescent, is transforming villages like this one, turning soft copper and rare tin into tools that bite deeper than stone. The family's father, his own bronze axe tucked into his belt, nods approvingly, as if the smith's work is a shared victory. You think of the fields you saw, the wheat planted with such care. Bronze makes that labor lighter, and you feel the weight of its importance. The smith wipes sweat from his brow, his hands leaving dark smudges. And you notice the family's older son inching closer, his curiosity plain. The boy's fingers twitch, as if itching to touch the cooling mold, but he holds back, respectful of the smith's domain. The furnace's heat prickling your skin, and peer at the tools scattered around, chisels, hammers, a half-finished dagger. The smith's work is meticulous, each piece shaped with a precision that feels almost sacred. You recall the mother's woven baskets, the careful knots she tied. This is different, but no less deliberate, a dance of fire and stone. The smith taps the mold gently, freeing the axe head, and holds it up, its surface catching the sun like a polished mirror. You chuckle softly, your modern kitchen knives, so effortlessly sharp, would seem like magic to him, though he'd probably scoff at their flimsy handles. A quirky detail catches your eye. The smith wears a small pendant, a flattened bronze disc etched with a spiral. Is it a talisman? A mark of his trade? Scholars still debate whether such trinkets were symbols of status or offerings to gods of fire and metal. You imagine it's both, a badge of pride and a plea for the furnace to obey. The family's daughter, standing at the edge of the shelter, clutches her own stone necklace, her eyes fixed on the pendant. You wonder if she dreams of wearing something so fine, or if she simply marvels at the smith's power to shape the earth's secrets. The father steps forward, offering a sack of barley as payment for a new tool. The smith waves it off, saying the village owes him nothing yet. His craft depends on their harvests as much as their fields rely on his blades. You feel a pang of warmth at this, the quiet interdependence that binds them. In your world, transactions are often cold, swiped cards or clicked buttons, but here, trade is a conversation, a shared stake in survival. The father insists, and they settle on a future exchange, a tool for grain, sealed with a nod. It's a reminder that even in the Bronze Age, trust was currency. The furnace crackles, its glow casting shadows that dance across the shelter's mud walls. You let the sight settle into you, soothing as the flicker of a candle. The smith returns to his work, hammering a bronze ingot into a thin sheet, each strike ringing like a bell. The family lingers, reluctant to leave this place of transformation. You notice the younger son, usually restless, sitting quietly, his mud-stained hands still as he watches the sparks fly. It's a rare stillness, and you laugh quietly, thinking of how a good show, maybe a movie or a game, can hold your own attention, though this fire is a spectacle all its own. The village hums around you. Neighbors passing with baskets of fish or bundles of reeds, their glances drawn to the smith's shelter. His skill elevates the community, making their plows sharper, their hunts surer. Historians argue over whether early smiths were revered as craftsmen or feared as wielders of mysterious powers, but watching the family's awe, you'd wager they saw him as both, a man who tamed fire to shape the future. The smith pauses, sipping water from a clay cup, and you notice the faint tremor in his hands. The work is grueling, and you wonder how long he can keep this pace, or who will take his place. As the sun begins to dip, the family prepares to leave, the father hefting the new axe head with a satisfied nod. The smith calls after them, joking that it better not dull on soft wood, and the father laughs, a rare sound that feels like a gift. You step back, the furnace's warmth lingering on your skin. The Bronze Age was a time of fire and metal, when hands like the smith's forged a new world, one tool at a time. This family, with their fields and hearths, is part of that slow, steady change. Their lives shaped by the glow of the crucible. You close your eyes, the scent of charcoal fading, and let their world slip away, knowing you'll return to walk with them again. For now, rest, and let the fire's glow carry you into dreams. You walk beside the family as twilight settles over the valley, the sky bruising into shades of indigo. The air is cool, tinged with the earthy scent of damp grass, and the village lies quiet behind you, its hearths glowing faintly. Ahead, a clearing by the river bank hums with soft voices and the flicker of torchlight, a nighttime barter market, where villagers and strangers trade under the stars. You're here, a silent companion, watching the Bronze Age unfold through the family's cautious steps. Their world feels alive in this fleeting exchange, and you let its gentle rhythm wrap around you, soft as a whispered story, easing you toward a dreamlike calm. The father carries a sack of surplus barley, its weight slung over his shoulder, while the mother holds a basket of dried fish, carefully wrapped in reeds, their smoke curling upward like spirits escaping into the night. Villagers and travelers huddle in small groups, their voices low, haggling over goods spread on woven mats, polished stones, clay pots, bundles of flax. You spot a trader with a weathered face, his hands offering slivers of obsidian that catch the firelight like black mirrors. The mother approaches him, her fish offered in exchange, and you watch her barter with a quiet confidence, her words measured but firm. You smile, thinking of your own haggling, maybe over a flea market find, same dance, different stakes. The father kneels beside a woman displaying seashells, their surfaces pearled and smooth, far from any ocean. He trades a handful of barley for a single shell, small enough to fit in his daughter's palm. You imagine her delight when he gives it to her, a treasure from a world she's never seen. The shell's journey, carried across mountains and rivers, speaks of the Bronze Age's slow reach, connecting distant lives. You chuckle softly, your online shopping cart, filled with goods from across the globe, feels like a distant echo of this moment, though far less personal, less human. A quirky detail catches your eye. The trader with the obsidian wears a cloak dyed a startling blue, a color so rare it draws whispers from the crowd. Is it a mark of wealth? A gift from a far-off city? Scholars debate whether such dyes, made from crushed stones or plants, were luxury goods or ritual symbols, their recipes lost to time. You like to think it's a bit of flair, a way to stand out in the torchlit crowd. The mother glances at the cloak, her fingers brushing her own plain tunic, and you wonder if she dreams of such colors, or if her woven baskets are beauty enough. The older son, restless, wanders to a stall where a man offers bronze pins, their tips etched with tiny spirals. He hesitates, then trades a small clay token, Perhaps a marker of debt or favor, for one pin, slipping it into his belt with a shy grin. You feel a pang of fondness, remembering your own small purchases. Maybe a trinket bought on a whim. The pin is no mere ornament. It could fasten a cloak or mark a trade deal, a practical piece of the Bronze Age's growing complexity. The sun's pride in it, though, is pure, and you let the moment linger, warm as the torchlight. The market's rhythm is soothing, a hum of voices and rustling goods that could lull you to sleep. You notice the younger son, clinging to his mother's side, staring wide-eyed at a trader juggling clay beads for a small crowd. The boy laughs, a sound so bright it cuts through the night. And you grin, and ritual-type entertainment, it seems, has always worked a charm. The family pauses to watch, their faces lit by the flickering light, and you sense their rare moment of ease. A break from the day's toil. You think of your own moments of distraction, maybe scrolling through a phone, and laugh quietly. Different tools, same human need for a spark of joy. The father gathers the family, their trades complete, and you follow them back toward the village, the market's glow fading behind you. The mother carries a small pouch of obsidian flakes. The father the shell, and the son his pin, each item a piece of the world beyond their fields. Historians still argue whether these early markets were driven by necessity or ambition. But watching the family's careful steps, you'd wager it was both, a need to survive, a wish to touch something larger. The night is quiet now, save for the river's murmur and the crunch of their footsteps, and you feel the weight of their small triumphs, earned under the stars. You step back, the cool air brushing your skin, the scent of smoke lingering. The Bronze Age was a time of connection, when goods and ideas traveled as far as the shells in the father's hand. This family, with their barley and fish, is part of that slow weave, their lives linked to strangers they'll never meet. You close your eyes, the market's hum fading, and let their world slip away, knowing you'll return to walk with them again. For now, rest, and let the starlight carry you into dreams. You stand beneath a canopy of stars, the night air cool and heavy with the scent of damp earth and wild herbs. The village sleeps behind you, its hearths dim, but here, on a low hill overlooking the river, the family gathers in quiet reverence. A crescent moon casts a silver glow, softening the world into shadows and whispers. You're here, a silent guest, drawn into the Bronze Age's delicate dance of faith and survival. The family's steps are slow, purposeful, and you let the scene's stillness wrap around you, gentle as a lullaby, easing you toward a dreamlike peace. The mother carries a small clay figurine, its curves smoothed by her fingers, while the father holds a shallow bowl of barley grains. The children follow, the daughter clutching a bundle of wildflowers, their petals pale in the moonlight. They've come to make an offering, a ritual to honor a fertility goddess whose name you'll never know. Around 3000 BC, such practices were common across the Fertile Crescent, blending gratitude for harvests with pleas for abundance. The hill, worn smooth by countless ceremonies, feels sacred, its silence a canvas for their hopes. You kneel beside the mother as she digs a small hollow in the earth, her hands steady despite the chill. She places the figurine inside, its rounded form a symbol of life, of crops and children yet to come. The father scatters the barley over it, a gift to the soil, while the daughter lays her flowers gently atop the offering. You watch, the act so intimate it feels like a secret shared with the night. You think of your own rituals, maybe lighting a candle or making a wish, and smile softly. Here, every gesture carries the weight of survival, a prayer carved in clay and grain. The older son stands back, his bronze axe glinting faintly at his belt, his face a mix of duty and doubt. You wonder if he questions the goddess's power, or if he simply longs for the warmth of the hearth. The younger son, too young for skepticism, mimics his mother, patting the earth with small hands. You chuckle quietly, thinking of kids today copying a parent's yoga pose or phone swipe. Imitation is timeless, it seems. The family's voices are low, a murmured chant that blends with the rustle of leaves, and you let the sound wash over you, soothing as a distant stream. A quirky detail catches your eye. The mother ties a blade of grass around the figurine before burying it, a delicate loop like the one her daughter wore in the fields. Is it a signature? A charm for the goddess's favor? Scholars still debate whether such gestures were personal or prescribed, their meaning as fleeting as the grass itself. You like to think it's a touch of her heart, a way to say, "We were here. And we hoped." You recall the smith's spiral pendant, the trader's blue cloak, small marks of individuality in a world of shared struggle, and they ground you, humanizing this ancient knight. The father steps back, his bowl empty, and gazes at the sky, as if reading the stars for answers. You follow his eyes, the constellations unfamiliar yet comforting, a map unchanged by millennia. The Bronze Age was a time of gods and spirits, when every harvest or storm felt like a divine verdict. You think of the market, the obsidian and shells traded under torchlight. And how this ritual feels like another kind of exchange, a bargain with the unseen for a season of plenty. You laugh softly, your own deals, maybe with a gym membership or a diet plan. And let it lull you, its whisper mingling with the memory of the mother's humming by the hearth. The hill is quiet, save for the soft crunch of their steps as they prepare to leave. Imagining the countless times you've seen kids fidget in solemn moments, whether at a ceremony or a family dinner. The family begins their descent, the moonlight guiding them back to the village. You linger, your gaze on the buried figurine, now hidden beneath the earth. Historians argue over whether these offerings were acts of faith or desperate bids for control in an unpredictable world. But watching the family's quiet unity, you'd wager it was both, a bridge between fear and hope. You step back, the night's coolness brushing your skin, the stars bright above. The Bronze Age was a time of fragile balance, when rituals like this one wove meaning into the uncertainty of seasons and storms. This family, with their clay and flowers, is part of that delicate thread, their faith a whisper in the dark. You close your eyes, the scent of wild herbs fading, and let their world slip away, knowing you'll return to walk with them again. For now, rest, and let the moonlight carry you into dreams. You sit in the family's hut, the midday sun filtering through the thatched roof, casting soft shadows across the packed earth floor. The air is warm, heavy with the scent of drying clay and the faint smokiness of the hearth. The mother kneels by a low table, shaping a lump of wet clay into a pot, her fingers steady and sure. The children are nearby, the daughter sharpening a bronze blade, the younger son stacking reeds for kindling. You're here, a silent guest, immersed in the Bronze Age's quiet industry. Their world hums with small, purposeful tasks, and you let its rhythm wrap around you, soothing as a whispered tale, guiding you toward a gentle calm. The mother's hands move with a practiced grace, smoothing the clay surface, coaxing it into a wide-bellied pot. Her fingers leave faint ridges, a subtle signature of her craft. Pottery, widespread by 3000 BC in the Fertile Crescent, was more than utility. It stored grain, held water, carried the family's survival through lean seasons. You watch her work, the pot taking shape like a living thing. And think of the baskets she wove by the hearth, each craft a thread in their daily tapestry. You smile, imagining your own kitchen shelves, lined with mass-produced mugs, functional, but lacking the soul of her hands. The daughter, her small frame bent over a whetstone, sharpens a bronze knife, its edge glinting as she tests it against the reed. The blade is small, used for cutting flax or gutting fish, but she handles it with care, mimicking her mother's focus. You notice the older son outside, visible through the doorway, honing his axe with a similar stone. The family's tools, a mix of bronze and flint, are their lifeline, each one tended like a member of the household. You chuckle softly, your toolbox, with its rarely used screwdriver, would seem like a treasure trove to them, though they'd probably frown at its rust. A quirky detail catches your eye. The mother presses a tiny spiral into the pot's rim, using a twig, before setting it to dry. Is it decoration? A mark of ownership? Scholars debate whether such patterns were aesthetic or symbolic, perhaps tied to family or clan. You like to think it's her way of whispering, "This is mine." A small claim to beauty in a world of toil. You recall the grass knot she tied around the buried figurine on the hill. Another quiet signature, and feel a thread of continuity, as if her hands carried the family's story in every curve and knot. The younger son, his hands smudged with clay, abandons his reeds to watch his mother, his eyes wide with curiosity. He reaches for a scrap of clay, mimicking her, but his lump collapses into a shapeless blob. The mother laughs. A soft sound that fills the hut, and guides his fingers, showing him how to pinch the edges. You grin, thinking of your own childhood attempts at art, maybe a lopsided drawing or a failed craft, and how a parent's patience can turn failure into learning. The boy beams, his clay lump now a crude bowl. And you feel a pang of warmth for his small triumph. Outside, the father returns from the river, his tunic damp, carrying a basket of fish. He pauses to inspect the daughter's knife, nodding approval. Then sets the fish by the hearth for cleaning. You notice the interplay of tasks: pottery, sharpening, fishing, all woven together, each person's work supporting the others. The Bronze Age demanded this harmony, where tools and skills were shared, not hoarded. You think of your own world, where convenience often isolates, and laugh quietly. Imagine the father's confusion at a dishwasher, humming away without a family's hands to guide it. The daughter finishes her task and joins her mother, fetching a reed brush to smooth the pot's surface. You watch their hands move in tandem, the daughter learning by doing, her strokes less certain but earnest. The scene is almost meditative. The hut's quiet filled with the soft scrape of clay and the crackle of the hearth. You let the sound settle into you, soothing as a distant rain. The pot, once dry, will be fired in a pit outside, its surface hardened to hold the family's grain or water. You recall the smith's furnace, the glow of molten bronze, and see the same ingenuity here, in clay shaped by fire and care. The younger son, bored now, sneaks a reed from the kindling pile and pokes at the hearth's embers, earning a gentle scold from his sister. You laugh softly. Kids, it seems, have always found ways to test boundaries, whether with fire or a forbidden snack. The mother glances over, her eyes amused, and you sense the hut's warmth is more than the hearth's doing, it's the family's bond, forged in these shared moments. Historians still argue whether Bronze Age crafts were communal or specialized, but watching this family, you'd wager they blurred the line. Each person learning a little of everything to keep the household whole. The father kneels by the hearth, gutting a fish with a flint knife, his bronze axe set aside for heavier tasks. You notice a small cut on his hand, already healing, and wonder if he used the mother's herbal paste, the one you saw her apply after grinding barley. Their lives are a cycle of making and mending, each tool and remedy a step toward endurance. You step back, the hut's warmth lingering on your skin. The Bronze Age was a time of ingenuity, when hands shaped clay and metal into a future. This family, with their pots and blades, is part of that slow, steady craft, their work a whisper in history's chorus. You close your eyes, the scent of clay fading, and let their world slip away, knowing you'll return to walk with them again. For now, rest, and let the hearth's glow carry you into dreams. You linger in the village as dusk settles, the sky softening into hues of amber and gray. The air carries the sharp scent of wood smoke and the faint musk of livestock, mingling with the cool breath of the river nearby. The family moves through the central clearing, where neighbors gather, their voices low but tense. Torches flicker, casting long shadows, and you sense a shift in the village's rhythm, something heavier than the daily grind of fields or hearths. You're here, a silent guest, caught in the Bronze Age's fragile balance of hope and fear. Let the scene's quiet weight wrap around you, gentle as a whispered story, easing you toward a dreamlike calm. The father stands with other men, their bronze spears and axes glinting in the torchlight as they practice thrusts and parries. The older son joins them, his movements clumsy but determined, his spear a recent gift from the smith. The village is preparing for potential raids, a growing concern as trade routes bring wealth and envy to the valley. Around 2800 BC, as settlements grew and resources like bronze tools became prized, conflict flared, often over grain or land. You watch the men train, their faces set, and feel the undercurrent of unease, though their drills are more ritual than battle-ready. You step closer, the ground uneven beneath your feet, and notice the mother watching from the edge of the clearing, her arms crossed, her woven shawl tight around her shoulders. The daughter clings to her side, her eyes wide, while the younger son plays nearby, oblivious, tossing pebbles into a pile. You think of the clay figurine they buried under moonlight, a plea for abundance. Now, this training feels like another kind of prayer, one for safety. You smile softly, recalling your own world's precautions, maybe a locked door or a security app, same instinct, different tools. Here, protection is forged in bronze and muscle. The father calls to his son, correcting his grip on the spear, his voice firm but patient. You see the boy's jaw tighten, eager to prove himself, though his youth betrays him in every awkward thrust. The other men jest lightly, one mimicking his stance to laughter, and you chuckle quietly. Teasing, it seems, is as old as humanity. You like to think it's a quiet hope, a talisman to carry into the unknown. You recall the mother's spiral on her clay pot, the trader's blue cloak at the market, small tokens of defiance against a world that offers no guarantees. The amulet glints as the man moves, a tiny star in the torchlight. The mother steps forward, offering a clay jug of water to the men, her presence a subtle reminder of the life they're protecting. The father takes a sip, his eyes meeting hers, and you sense a wordless understanding, a shared resolve to keep the family whole. You think of the fish they traded at the market, the barley they planted with such care. All of it could be lost to a raid, yet they train not with anger, but with a weary determination. You laugh softly, your own frustrations, maybe over a delayed package or a power outage, seem trivial beside their stakes, though the human need to guard what matters is the same. The younger son, bored now, sneaks closer to the training, mimicking the men with a stick, his spear wobbling comically. The daughter giggles, earning a mock-stern look from her mother, and you grin, remembering how kids always find play in serious moments. Whether at a village drill or a family meeting, the men pause, some smiling at the boy's antics, and the tension eases, if only for a moment. You let the scene settle into you, soothing as the flicker of the torches, their light dancing across the clearing like fireflies. The training continues, the men moving in a loose circle, their spears thrusting at imaginary foes. You notice the village's rhythm shifting, women weave nearby, their looms clicking softly, while others tend hearths, the glow of fires a quiet defiance against the dark. The Bronze Age was a time of growth, but also of vulnerability, when prosperity invited risk. Historians still argue whether these early conflicts were driven by greed or survival. But watching the family, you'd wager it was both, a need to protect what they'd built, a fear of losing it all. The father's spear arcs through the air, steady and sure. And you feel the weight of his role, not just as a hunter or farmer, but as a guardian. You step back, the cool night air brushing your skin, the scent of smoke lingering. The village feels alive. Its people bound by shared effort, their training a thread in the tapestry of their lives. You recall the mother's hands in the fields, the son's pin from the market, moments of creation and hope that this preparation seeks to preserve. The torches burn low now, and the family begins to drift toward their hut. The father's hand on his son's shoulder, the mother's shawl fluttering in the breeze. You close your eyes, the clearing's hum fading, and let their world slip away, knowing you'll return to walk with them again. For now, rest, and let the torchlight carry you into dreams. You sit in the family's hut, the late afternoon light filtering through the thatched roof, casting a warm, dappled glow across the packed earth floor. The air hums with the soft creak of a wooden loom and the faint scent of flax, mingled with the ever-present smokiness of the hearth. The mother kneels before the loom, her hands guiding a shuttle through taut threads, while the daughter watches, her small fingers clutching a bundle of spun linen. you're here, a silent guest, immersed in the Bronze Age's quiet artistry. Their world is one of patient creation, and you let its rhythm wrap around you, soothing as a whispered tale, easing you toward a gentle calm. The mother's hands move with a steady grace, each pass of the shuttle building a strip of cloth, its texture rough but strong. Weaving, a craft honed across the Fertile Crescent by 3000 BCE, is a lifeline for the family, linen for tunics, sails, or trade. The loom, a simple frame of wood and reeds, creaks softly, its sound a heartbeat in the hut. You watch the mother teach her daughter, guiding her hands to pull the threads tight, and think of the clay pots they shape together, each skill a thread in their legacy. You smile, imagining your own wardrobe. Bought with a click, convenient, but missing the story woven into this cloth. The daughter tries her hand at the shuttle, her movements hesitant, the threads bunching slightly. The mother corrects her gently, her voice low, and you see the girl's face light with determination. She's young, but already she's learning to weave her place in the family. Her small hands carrying a tradition older than the village itself. You notice the older son outside, sharpening his bronze axe, his focus mirroring his sister's. The family's tasks are varied, farming, hunting, weaving, but they interlock, each person's work a piece of the whole. You chuckle softly, your own multitasking, maybe juggling emails and chores, feels frantic by comparison, lacking this quiet synergy. A quirky detail catches your eye. The mother ties a small stone to the loom's warp threads, its weight keeping them taut. The stone is polished, etched with a faint spiral, much like the one she pressed into her clay pot. Is it a practical choice, or a charm for the cloth's strength? Scholars debate whether such objects were utilitarian or ritual, their meaning as elusive as the wind outside. You like to think it's a bit of both, a tool and a talisman, grounding her work in hope. You recall the grass knot around the buried figurine, the amulet at the training ground, and feel the family's story in these small, deliberate marks. The younger son, sprawled nearby, plays with a scrap of linen, twisting it into a crude doll. He hums the same tuneless song you heard in the fields, his voice a soft echo of his mother's. You grin, thinking of kids today crafting toys from whatever's at hand, paper, string, or pixels on a screen. The boy holds up his creation, proud, and the daughter giggles, earning a playful scowl from her mother. The moment is light, a rare pause in their labor, and you feel a pang of warmth for their bond, forged in these shared spaces of work and play. The father enters, his tunic dusted with soil from the fields, and pauses to watch the weaving. He nods, a silent approval, then sets a basket of dried fish by the hearth. You notice his hands, callous but gentle, as he brushes the daughter's hair from her eyes. The family's life is a cycle of making, cloth, tools, food, each act a step toward endurance. You think of the market, the obsidian they traded for, and how this linen might one day be bartered for something new. You laugh quietly, imagine the father's bemusement at a department store. Shelves stuffed with clothes no one's hands touched. The loom's steady creak fills the hut, blending with the hearth's crackle and the distant lowing of cattle outside. You let the sounds wash over you, soothing as a lullaby. The mother pauses to stretch her fingers, wincing slightly, and you recall her herbal paste, the one she used after grinding barley. Her resilience is quiet, woven into every thread, every meal, every lesson she passes to her daughter. You notice the daughter's cloth taking shape, uneven but promising, and feel a spark of pride for her, as if her small victory is yours, too. The younger son, bored now, sneaks a reed from the kindling pile and pokes at the loom, earning a stern look from his sister. You laugh softly. Kids, it seems, are always testing limits, whether with a loom or a forbidden snack. The mother smiles, her patience a steady anchor. And you sense the hut's warmth is more than the hearth's doing, it's the family's unity, their shared purpose in every task. Historians still argue whether weaving in the Bronze Age was women's work or a communal effort, but watching this mother and daughter, you'd wager it was a family affair. Its lessons crossing generations like threads on a loom. The father kneels by the hearth, stoking the fire, his silhouette framed against the glowing embers. You notice a new tension in his shoulders. Perhaps from the training you saw, the village's preparations for raids. Yet here, in the hut, the loom's rhythm holds sway, a reminder of what they're fighting for. You step back. The scent of flax lingering, the hut's warmth clinging to your skin. The Bronze Age was a time of creation, when hands wove cloth and dreams into the fabric of survival. This family? You're here, a silent guest, immersed in the Bronze Age's fleeting joy. Their world pulses with shared warmth, and you let its gentle rhythm wrap around you, soothing as a whispered tale, easing you toward a dreamlike calm. The mother carries a clay pot of steaming barley stew, its surface studded with herbs, while the father hefts a basket of flatbreads, their edges charred from the fire. The children trail behind, the daughter balancing a jug of fermented barley drink, the younger son clutching a handful of dried figs. The clearing is crowded. Mats spread across the ground, where villagers sit in loose circles, sharing food and stories. Feasts like this, common by 2800 BC in the Fertile Crescent, strengthened communal bonds, turning neighbors into kin. You watch the family settle, their faces lit by the fire's glow, and feel the weight of their relief, a harvest hard won. You kneel beside the mother as she ladles stew into bowls, her hands steady, her smile soft but weary. The stew's warmth rises in faint curls of steam, its scent grounding you in the moment. The father passes bread to a neighbor, who offers a slice of roasted fish in return, their exchange a quiet dance of generosity. You think of your own gatherings, maybe a potluck or a holiday meal, and smile softly. Here, every bite is a shared victory, a defiance of the lean seasons that loom. You chuckle quietly, your fridge, stuffed with leftovers, would seem like a miracle to them, though they'd probably miss the fire's smoky tang. The daughter pours the barley drink, its froth catching the firelight, and hands a cup to an elder, her small gesture earning a nod of approval. You notice the older son, usually reserved, laughing with a group of boys, his bronze pin from the market glinting at his belt. The feast is a rare chance to loosen the weight of daily toil, and you see it in their postures, shoulders relaxed, voices brighter. A quirky detail catches your eye. The elder wears a necklace of animal teeth, each one polished to a soft sheen. Is it a trophy? A charm? Scholars debate whether such adornments were symbols of status or spiritual tokens, their meaning as elusive as the night's shadows. You like to think it's a story, each tooth a chapter from a life well lived. The younger son, his hands sticky with figs, darts between mats, stealing a piece of bread from his sister's plate. She swats at him, giggling. And you grin, remembering how kids always find mischief, whether at a Bronze Age feast or a modern picnic. The mother catches them, her eyes crinkling with amusement. And you sense the feast's magic. It's not just the food, but the moments of connection, the laughter that binds them. You think of the loom's steady creak, the training ground's tension, and how this night feels like a counterpoint, a reminder of what they're weaving and fighting for. A flute player begins a new tune, its notes high and wandering, like a bird over the valley. Villagers clap, some swaying, and you let the sound wash over you, soothing as a distant stream. The father joins a group of men sharing a story, his voice low but animated, while the mother listens, her hand resting on her daughter's shoulder. You notice the communal rhythm, food passed without question, stories told without haste. You laugh softly, imagine the father's confusion at a drive-thru. Food handed through a window with no story to share. The Bronze Age feast is slow, deliberate, a tapestry of voices and flavors. The older son returns, his face flushed, and offers his mother a small clay cup of the barley drink. She takes it, her smile a quiet thank you, and you feel a pang of warmth for their bond, forged in these small acts. The fire crackles, casting shadows that dance across the clearing, and you recall the market's torchlight, the ritual on the hill, each moment a thread in the village's life. The feast is a celebration, but also a promise. They'll face the winter together, their stores and their stories enough to carry them through. The younger son, now full, curls up on a mat, his eyes heavy as he watches the flames. You smile, thinking of your own moments of post-feast drowsiness, maybe dozing on a couch after a big meal. The daughter leans against her mother, humming the flute's tune, and you sense the night's spell, holding the village in a rare, fragile peace. Historians still argue whether these feasts were practical, sharing surplus, or sacred, honoring gods of harvest and hearth. Watching the family, you'd wager it was both, a meal to feed the body and the soul, a bulwark against the dark. You step back, the fire's warmth lingering on your skin, the scent of stew fading. The Bronze Age was a time of survival, but also of joy, when feasts like this wove communities into something stronger. This family, with their stew and laughter, is part of that enduring thread, their night a whisper in history's chorus. You close your eyes, the flute's notes fading, and let their world slip away, knowing you'll return to walk with them again. For now, rest, and let the firelight carry you into dreams. You sit in the family's hut, the air thick with the sharp scent of crushed herbs and the faint glow of a single torch casting flickering shadows across the mud-brick walls. Outside, a soft rain patters on the thatched roof, its rhythm steady, almost hypnotic. The family huddles around the younger son, who lies on a reed mat, his face flushed with fever, his breath shallow. The mother kneels beside him, her hands grinding herbs in a clay mortar, while the father watches, his bronze axe idle at his side. You're here, a silent guest, immersed in the Bronze Age's fragile dance with life and death. Let the scene's quiet weight wrap around you, soothing as a whispered tale, easing you toward a dreamlike calm. The mother works with a focused calm, mixing the herbs, perhaps thyme or willow bark, with water to form a paste. She smears it gently on the boy's forehead, her touch light but sure. Healing in the Bronze Age, around 2800 BC, blended practical remedies with spiritual pleas, as communities grappled with illness using the plants and prayers at hand. You watch her, the mortar's faint scrape blending with the rain, and think of the clay figurine she buried under moonlight, another kind of offering. You smile softly, recalling your own medicine cabinet, pills and syrups, so precise yet so distant from the earth's raw gifts. The daughter sits close, clutching a small bronze amulet shaped like a crescent, her fingers tracing its edges as she murmurs a chant. An older woman with a woven shawl, her hands carrying a basket of roots and dried leaves. She examines the boy, her fingers pressing his wrist, her voice low as she chants, blending remedy with ritual. The mother steps back, respectful, but her eyes never leave her son. You watch the healer work, grinding a root into powder, and feel the hut's tension ease slightly, as if her presence is a balm. The Bronze Age relied on such figures, their knowledge a bridge between the known and the divine. You recall the smith's furnace, the market's bustle, and see the same ingenuity here, in herbs shaped by care and chant. The daughter offers the amulet to the healer, who nods, tying it to the boy's wrist with a leather thong. You let the scene settle into you, soothing as the rain's steady patter. The older son returns with more water, his hands trembling slightly, and you feel a spark of pride for his effort, his youth bending under the weight of responsibility. You grin, thinking of kids today running errands in a crisis, maybe fetching a blanket or making tea, always finding a way to help, even if it's small. The boy's fever is a quiet enemy, but the family fights it together, their hands and hearts aligned. The healer pauses, sprinkling the root powder into a cup of warm water, and the mother helps the boy drink, her arms steadying his head. You notice the rain slowing, its rhythm fading into a soft drip, and the hut feels warmer. The torches glow a fragile defiance against the dark. Historians still argue whether Bronze Age healing was more science or superstition, but watching this family, you'd wager it was both, a blend of hope and herb, rooted in love. The boy's breathing eases slightly, and you sense a flicker of relief, though the night is far from over. You step back, the scent of herbs lingering, the hut's warmth clinging to your skin. The Bronze Age was a time of vulnerability, when illness could unravel a family's thread. Yet they faced it with remedies and rituals, weaving resilience into their days. This family, with their herbs and amulets, is part of that enduring fight, their care a whisper in history's chorus. You close your eyes, the rain's last drops fading, and let their world slip away, knowing you'll return to walk with them again. For now, rest, and let the torchlight carry you into dreams. You stand in the village under a pale morning sky, the air cool and heavy with the scent of wet reeds and fresh mud. The rain from last night has left the ground soft. And the family gathers outside their hut, their hands busy repairing a sagging roof. The younger son, his fever broken, sits nearby, wrapped in a linen shawl, watching his family work. You're here. A silent guest, immersed in the Bronze Age's quiet resilience. Their world hums with collective effort, and you let its rhythm wrap around you, soothing as a whispered tale, easing you toward a dreamlike calm. The father climbs onto the hut's roof, balancing on a wooden frame, while the mother passes up bundles of dried reeds. Her movements steady despite the morning's chill. The older son mixes mud and straw in a clay basin, creating a thick paste to seal the roof's gaps. The daughter, her small hands deft, ties reeds into tight bundles, her focus sharp after the worry of her brother's illness. Around 2800 BC, mudbrick architecture defined villages like this one, offering shelter that demanded constant care. You watch the family, their hands moving in unison, and feel the weight of their determination to endure, one repair at a time. You step closer. The mud cooled beneath your feet, and notice the mother's careful knots, securing the reeds with the same precision she used on her loom. The roof, patched with layers of mud and straw, is a testament to their ingenuity, a fragile shield against the seasons. You think of the clay pots she shaped, the herbs she ground for her son's fever, each task a piece of their survival. You smile softly, imagining your own home maintenance, maybe a call to a roofer or a quick fix with duct tape, so distant from this labor of hands and earth. You chuckle quietly. The father would probably scoff at your flimsy modern fixes, preferring his mud's honest weight. The older son spreads the paste across the roof, his hands smeared with clay, his face set with the same focus you saw when he trained with his spear. He pauses to check on his younger brother, offering a sip of water. A small gesture that carries the relief of the boy's recovery. You feel a pang of warmth for their bond, forged in moments of care and crisis. The younger son, still pale, grins, tossing a pebble at his brother's feet, and you laugh softly. Kids, it seems, bounce back with a mischief that transcends time, whether in a Bronze Age hut or a modern backyard. A quirky detail catches your eye. The mother embeds a small, polished stone into the mud near the hut's doorway, its surface etched with a faint spiral, like the one on her clay pot. Is it a marker? A charm for protection? Scholars debate whether such stones were decorative or ritual, their purpose as fleeting as the morning's mist. You like to think it's a quiet prayer, a hope that this home will stand strong. You recall the lavender sprig tied to the boy's mat, the grass knot in the fields, small signatures of her heart, weaving meaning into every task. Even this one. The father calls down, asking for more reeds, and the daughter scrambles to help, her bundle nearly as tall as she is. The village hums around you, neighbors repairing their own huts, their voices mingling with the lowing of cattle and the distant rush of the river. You notice a communal rhythm, families sharing tools, trading advice, their efforts interlocking like the reeds on the roof. You think of the feast, the shared stew under firelight, and how this work feels like its echo, a collective stand against the wear of time. You grin, imagining the father's puzzlement at a hardware store, aisles of nails and tarps with no community to share them. The sun climbs higher, drying the mud, and you let the scene settle into you, soothing as the rustle of reeds in the breeze. The younger son, feeling stronger, tries to help, handing his sister a single reed with exaggerated care, earning her giggle. You feel a spark of joy for his recovery, his small act a thread in the family's healing. The Bronze Age demanded such repairs, not just of homes but of spirits. each patch a step toward stability. You recall the training ground's tension, the market's bustle, and see the same resilience here, in hands that mend what the world breaks. The mother pauses, wiping sweat from her brow, her stone necklace catching the light. She glances at the horizon, where the hills glow with the promise of dawn, and you sense her quiet hope, a good roof, a healthy sun. A season of plenty. Historians still argue whether these villages were bound more by necessity or choice, but watching this family, you'd wager it was both, a need to survive, a will to build something lasting. The father steps down, testing the roof's strength, and nods, satisfied. You feel the weight of their small victory, a hut made whole again. You step back. The scent of mud lingering, the morning's warmth clinging to your skin. The Bronze Age was a time of renewal, when hands shaped homes and hopes from the earth's gifts. This family, with their reeds and resolve, is part of that enduring cycle, their work a whisper in history's chorus. You close your eyes, the village's hum fading, and let their world slip away, knowing you'll return to walk with them again. For now, rest, and let the dawn's light carry you into dreams. You walk beside the family through the village, the midday sun casting sharp shadows across the packed earth paths. The air hums with the scent of ripening wheat and the faint tang of river water, carried on a warm breeze. The family moves with a quiet purpose, their hands busy with new bronze tools, a hoe for the mother, a chisel for the father, traded at the market's last gathering. Whispers of larger settlements, of stone walls and bustling trade, drift through the village like leaves on the wind. You're here, a silent guest, immersed in the Bronze Age's slow shift towards something new. Let the scene's gentle pulse wrap around you, soothing as a whispered tale, easing you toward a dreamlike calm. The mother kneels in the fields, testing her new bronze hoe, its edge biting deeper into the soil than the old wooden one. She works with a steady rhythm, turning earth for a late planting, her face lit with a mix of curiosity and caution. Around 2800 BC, bronze tools spread across the Fertile Crescent, easing labor and sparking trade with distant cities. You watch her, the hoe's glint catching the sun, and think of the clay pots she shaped, the linen she wove, each tool a step toward a wider world. You smile softly, imagining your own gadgets, maybe a shiny new phone, so sleek yet so fragile compared to her sturdy bronze. The father, nearby, uses his chisel to carve a wooden beam, shaping it for a neighbor's new hut. The older son assists, holding the beam steady, his bronze pin from the market still pinned to his tunic. You notice the daughter, carrying a basket of flax, pausing to watch her father's work, her eyes bright with interest. The family's tools are changing, their lives touched by rumors of places where bronze flows like water and markets hum day and night. You chuckle quietly, your own world, with its endless upgrades and trends, feels like a distant echo of this moment, though far less grounded in the earth's pulse. A quirky detail catches your eye. The mother ties a strip of dyed cloth to her hoe's handle, its faded blue a nod to the trader's cloak you saw at the market. Is it a mark of ownership? A charm for the tool's strength? Scholars debate whether such tokens were practical or symbolic. Tossing a pebble into the air and catching it, his energy a bright spark after the fever's shadow. He mimics his mother, pretending to hoe with a stick, and she laughs. The boy's joy is a reminder of the family's resilience, their ability to adapt while holding fast to each other. You feel a pang of warmth for their unity, forged in fields and hearths, now tested by whispers of change. The father pauses, wiping sweat from his brow, and shares a look with the mother, as if weighing the rumors of distant cities. You sense their curiosity, tempered by the comfort of their valley, its river and hills a known embrace. The Bronze Age was a time of expansion, when tools and trade began to link villages to larger worlds, reshaping lives like theirs. You think of the feast, the shared stew under firelight, and how these new tools feel like a bridge to something beyond the village's circle. You laugh softly, imagine the father's bemusement at a skyscraper, its stone walls rising without a single reed or handful of mud. The village hums around you, neighbors testing their own new tools, their voices mingling with the clink of bronze and the lowing of cattle. You notice a trader passing through, his donkey laden with clay jars, his tales of stone-walled settlements drawing a small crowd. The older son listens, his eyes wide, and you wonder if he dreams of seeing those places, or if the valley is enough. You let the scene settle into you, soothing as the rustle of wheat in the breeze. The family's adaptation, cautious but open, mirrors the Bronze Age's slow march toward complexity. Each tool a step into the unknown. The daughter sets down her basket and tries the hoe, her small hands awkward but eager, earning a nod from her mother. You feel a spark of pride for her. Her willingness to learn, weaving hope into the family's future. The younger son, bored now, chases a butterfly, his laughter bright against the field's quiet labor. You smile, recalling his pebble tossing at the hut's repair. Kids, it seems, always find joy in the smallest things, whether here or in your own time. Historians still argue whether these early adopters of bronze sought progress or simply survival. But watching this family, you'd wager it was both, a need to thrive, a wish to dream beyond their hills. You step back, the scent of earth lingering, the sun's warmth clinging to your skin. The Bronze Age was a time of transformation, when tools and tales began to stretch the world's edges. This family, with their hoe and their hopes, is part of that quiet shift, their lives a whisper in history's chorus. You close your eyes, the villages hum fading, and let their worlds slip away, knowing you'll return to walk with them one last time. For now, rest, and let the sunlight carry you into dreams. You stand with the family on a low hill overlooking the village, the night sky vast and glittering with stars, their light sharp against the velvet dark. The air is cool, scented with wild herbs and the faint smoke of distant hearths, carried on a breeze that whispers through the valley. The family gathers close, their faces softened by moonlight, their hands empty but their hearts full, reflecting on a season of labor and survival. You're here, a silent guest, immersed in the Bronze Age's quiet closure. Their world feels timeless, and you let its gentle rhythm wrap around you, soothing as a whispered tale, easing you toward a dreamlike calm. The mother rests a hand on her daughter's shoulder, her stone necklace catching the starlight, while the father stands beside the older son, his bronze axe tucked away, its work done for now. The younger son, his energy subdued by the late hour, leans against his mother, clutching the seashell from the market, a treasure from a world beyond their hills. You sense their pause, a moment to breathe after months of planting, weaving, and mending. By 2800 BC, villages like this one were anchors in a changing world, their simple lives the foundation of civilizations yet to come. You watch them, their silhouettes etched against the sky, and feel the weight of their unspoken gratitude, warm as the hearth's glow. You step closer, the grass soft beneath your feet, and notice the mother's quiet hum. The same tuneless song you heard by the hearth, in the fields, at the loom. It's a thread through their days, tying together the barley they ground, the cloth they wove, the fever they nursed. You think of the clay figurine buried under moonlight, the spiral on her pot, the blue cloth on her hoe, small marks of her presence, now fading into history's vast weave. You smile softly, imagining your own fleeting traces, maybe a note scribbled in a margin or a photo lost in the cloud, so different, yet so alike in their quiet hope to be remembered. The stars above seem to nod, their light a steady promise that some things endure. The father points to a constellation, his voice low, telling a story of gods or ancestors you can't quite tell. The children listen, their eyes wide, and you feel a pang of warmth for this moment, a family bound by tales as much as by blood. The Bronze Age was a time of stories, when stars and rivers held meaning, guiding lives through seasons of plenty and want. You chuckle quietly, your own stargazing, maybe through an app or a telescope, feels so precise yet so distant from this intimate sky, where every light feels like a friend. The father's voice is steady, an anchor in the night, and you let it ground you, reliable as the earth beneath their feet. A quirky detail catches your eye. The daughter wears a braided grass ring on her finger, the same kind she tied in the fields, now worn thin but still holding. Is it a keepsake? A child's whim? Scholars debate whether such trinkets were playful or profound, their significance as fleeting as the grass itself. You like to think it's her way of carrying the fields with her, a reminder of the earth that sustains them. You recall the elder's tooth necklace at the feast, the healer's lavender sprig, small tokens that ground this family in their world. Even as whispers of larger settlements stir their dreams, each one is a quiet stitch in their story, and you feel their warmth, like a blanket woven by their hands. The older son shifts, his bronze pin glinting faintly, and you wonder if he thinks of the traders' tales, of stone-walled cities where bronze shines like the sun. His future, like the villages, hovers on the edge of change, shaped by tools and trade. You think of the market's bustle, the training ground's tension, and how this quiet hill feels like a pause, a chance to hold fast to what they know. You laugh softly, imagine the sun's confusion at your world, with its endless screens and cities that never sleep, so far from the valley's steady pulse. Yet his dreams, like yours, reach for something more, a thread that ties his time to yours. The younger son yawns, his shell slipping from his hand, and the mother catches it, tucking it into his tunic with a gentle smile. You feel a spark of joy for his recovery, his small weight against her a testament to their care. The family's life, hunting, farming, weaving, healing, is a cycle of effort and endurance, each task a thread in the tapestry of their days. You let the scene settle into you, soothing as the breezes rustle, the stars above a map of their hopes. The Bronze Age was a time of beginnings, when families like this laid the roots of history, their lives simple yet profound, their love a steady flame against the dark. The father kneels, touching the earth, as if thanking it for the harvest, the shelter, the life it's given them. You notice the mother's hand tighten on her daughter's shoulder, a silent promise to teach her all she knows. Historians still argue whether these early villagers lived for the moment or for the future, but watching this family, you'd wager it was both, a need to survive today, a hope to leave something for tomorrow. Their story, unrecorded, is a whisper in the night, carried by the stars to those who'll listen. You feel its warmth, slow and reliable, a tale that invites you to linger, to trust in its gentle cadence. Now you can close your eyes and let the currents of time take you away, carrying you from this hill, this family, this forgotten world. The Bronze Age fades, its villages and hearths swallowed by the years, but this family's resilience echoes, their hands and hearts shaping a world that still remembers them. In the bronze we unearth, the fields we till, the stories we tell. Their lives, so small against the stars, are a gift, a reminder that every step, every knot, every song matters. You close your eyes, the valley's hush fading, and let their world slip away, knowing their story lives in you, a forgotten tale now told, warm and steady as a hearth's glow. For now, rest, and let the starlight carry you into dreams,